Hello everyone. Today I'll show you how to install the virtual machine and how to install Fedora Linux distribution. First, if you check the Apple logo about this Mac, if the chipset Apple M1 or M2, then you need to install UTM. If the chipset Intel, then you need to install VirtualBox. So in our case, the chipset M1 or M2, we will install UTM virtual machine. Just Google for UTM, open the first link, click download. Okay, as you see, it's downloaded. Now move to the application. For me, I already have one. I will just replace. Then if you want, double click the applications. This is the UTM, right click, make alias. This is like shortcut. Then you can drag here. So next time I'll just open this one. Now if we open UTM, open. Now we need to create a new virtual machine. But before, we need to download Linux. So let me go back to the Google. If you need to select a suitable Linux distribution, you can open this website, DistroWatch. Here you can select any distribution you like. Anyone. Let me choose one randomly. For example, this one. Refresh. As you see here, you can download the ISO image. So you can choose any other one. Let me show you another one. For example, Mint. Refresh. This is the ISO image, 64-bit, as you see. So you can click to download. But in our case, to download Fedora Linux, I prefer to download from the main website. So open Fedora. As you see, this is the main website. The latest release 38. Get Fedora. Workstation. So now you need to decide which one is your processor, Intel and AMD. Then in this case, you can download Fedora Workstation 38, as you see, live ISO. If you have ARM processor, you can download this ISO image. And if you have power, you can download this one. In our case, the processor in the Mac here, M1, M2, which is ARM-based processor. So for ARM, I will be downloading this one, Fedora Workstation 38 Live ISO. Just click here to download. As you see, it's downloading 1.9 gigabyte, take less than a minute. So meanwhile, go back to the UTM, click create a new virtual machine. Then we select virtualize. We will be installing Linux. Now, do you prefer to use any of these options, or you can keep the default options? As you see, this one, Apple virtualization, is experimental, so we prefer not to use it. So now let's find the boot ISO image, click browse. In the download, as you see, it's downloaded. Open. Now we can click continue. Memory, 4 gigabyte should be enough. Keep the default options. Click continue. For the hard disk, let me reduce to 20 gigabyte, should be more than enough. Continue. Click continue here. So as you see here, it gives us a summary of the virtual machine we'll be installing for ARM processor, memory 4 gigabyte for the virtual machine. The hard disk will be 20 gigabyte, and for the CPU, it will take the default cores from your main machine. Click save. So as you see now, the virtual machine is ready. To start installing Linux, just click play. It start booting from the ISO. Now you can use the arrows in your keyboard to select the first option, start Fedora workstation, press enter. You can ignore this one since Fedora is still loading. Okay. Now, as you see, it's loaded. Click Live System User. Now we need to install Fedora. Keep the language English, English United States. Continue. Click Installation Destination. As you see, it's already selected. Everything's okay. Just click Done. Wait. Now we can begin the installation. Depending on your machine, it can take 5 minutes, maybe longer, maybe shorter, depending on your machine. we are almost done. Once the progress bar is over, the finish installation will be active. Okay, now we can click finish installation. We are done. We still need one more step. So first, let's turn off. If you click on the power icon here, click the power again, power off, power off. Okay, close this one. Now, if you run this virtual machine again, let me show you. It takes you to repeat the same step again. If you click Start Fedora, it will load. Then you have to install Fedora again. So every time you start, it will be booting from the ISO image to start the installation again. So let me close this one. What we can do to avoid this case, right-click on the Linux, choose Edit. It's not active. Okay. I think let me power off first. Okay. Now right-click, Edit. Here on the left pane, as you see, it starts the booting from the USB drive that has the ISO image, which means every time it asks you to repeat the installation. How we can avoid this? Just click this with your mouse, drag to be before the USB. So now the boot order will be the virtual hard disk drive we created today. If fail, it boot from the ISO image. Click Save. Now let's start the virtual machine and see. So as you see, Fedora started. Now click Start Setup. For privacy, let me disable both. Click Next. Yeah, I prefer to enable third-party repositories, which mean you can download any update or any new tool from this third party. Now, I can skip for now creating an account. Here, you need to write your full name. For example, my full name, Fadi Abu Amara. And for the username, I prefer to write F Abu Amara. Next, you can choose any password you prefer. So here you can see the strength of your password. Both match, click Next. Then click Start using Fedora. Now it offer you to take a tour. For me, I'll check no. We are done. Now we can here search for the terminal. This is the terminal. Right click, pin to dash. As you see, the terminal is added here as a shortcut. If you see a screen like this, just click on activities. Then here you can search for the terminal as we did, right click, pin to bash. So as you see, the terminal is added as a shortcut. So we can open the terminal. As you see here, we are inside Fedora. This is the terminal. It shows my username. Usually, the first thing I do is changing the root password. So I will type sudo super user do, change the password for the root. First, enter your password you just created. Then it asks you to change the root password. Why? Since we don't know what is the root password. So for me, I will use the same password as my account. Then repeat again. And as you see, for security, you don't see any asterisk here when you type the password. So you should get like this, all authentication tokens updated successfully. Now we change the password for the root. So we are ready to start using Fedora. Then you can now turn off your machine. That's it.